Tomorrow I'm going to a baby shower that's coffee themed, and so I'm going to be making coffee syrups for the shower. I'm going to make 4 of them today, and I'm super excited. I'm going to make a blueberry, a vanilla, a caramel, as well as a cinnamon dolce. So if you've ever wondered what it's like to make these coffee syrups, they're super easy, and we're going to make them right now. Basically, it's just sugar, water, and then whatever you're adding for flavoring. So we're going to go ahead and make them today. But before I get to that, I'm going to go ahead and print labels for all of them because some of the syrups will look really similar when they're done. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that all the bottles are labeled properly. All of my bottles are from Amazon, and they originally came with pump lids, but I hate cleaning those things, and I feel like the syrup always gets stuck at the bottom. Like, you just don't always get it all out. So instead, I have these that I got from Amazon. They're metal and they're weighted, and they literally, like, how cool is that? If you are going to get these, I did have to also get this rubber piece that goes on top of it because it was made for a smaller spout, I guess you could say, or a smaller... I don't know, whatever this is, it was smaller. So I had to get some extension basically to make it fit better, but super easy to clean. So that's what I'll be putting my syrups in today. Okay, it's not super fancy, but you know what? You'll know exactly this is going to be vanilla syrup. So that is what counts in this case. Okay, so I think I said caramel earlier. I meant to say salted caramel is what I'm making. And it's kind of bothering me because this one's so much longer. And now I'm like doing a different kind of label. Okay, so I decided to cut a little bit of the excess spacing off, and so here are all of our bottles. Ready? I'm gonna go ahead and start on the syrups now. Welcome to the other side of the kitchen where this light is gonna drive me crazy. Wait, hold on. Okay, so my easiest one to make today is definitely gonna be vanilla, so I'm gonna start with that, and then blueberries are the hardest, so we'll do that one at the end. So we're gonna start with probably vanilla, and then cinnamon dolce, then caramel, and then the last one we do will be the blueberry. So if you wanna watch it in that order, that's the order I'm gonna do it in, so let's get started. Basically, the process for vanilla is gonna be 1 cup sugar, 1 cup water, boil it down till the sugar's dissolved, and a pinch of salt. And then once it's kind of the sugar's all dissolved in there, then we're just gonna add in some vanilla, let it cool, pour it in. Super simple. My biggest recommendation is when you're making your syrups to use a bigger size pot like this that you're gonna boil pasta in. Originally, I used a smaller saucepan when I started making coffee syrups, and it would always boil over, and it's a sticky hot mess. You do not want that. So use a little bit bigger pot than you think you're gonna need. I know it's only like technically like 2 cups of ingredients, but you definitely want a bigger pot because it is gonna simmer and bubble, and you don't want an explosion. You don't want that. I feel like I'm using more angles in this video than I typically do, but I'm just gonna pour in 1 cup of water into my hot pan or pot, and then I'm also just gonna add a cup of sugar, and then I'm just gonna like stir this thing like crazy. So now that my sugar has dissolved, starting to simmer a little bit, I'm gonna go ahead and add my salt in now. You can add it at the beginning if you want to. I just kind of like to get the sugar melted first, personal preference. You can do it all at the same time if you want to, but I'm gonna give it a couple more seconds to thicken up a little bit because right now it's still very like watery in texture, and I want it to be a little bit thicker for the syrups. The goal is to want it just thick enough to coat the back of the spoon, which it just got there for me, so I'm going to take it off the heat. And some people say, let it sit off heat, let it cool a little bit before adding vanilla. I just add vanilla right away, but I make sure the heat is off because I just think that's fine, and my coffee syrup turns out fine just like that. I'm all about simplicity. So you want to do 2 tablespoons, 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. I just have a ½ tablespoon, which is why I was saying 2. So I'm going to do 2 of this. And then honestly, I'm just a measure with a heart person. If I get extra vanilla in there, I'm not really bothered by it. And then you want a teaspoon of vanilla bean paste. Technically, this is vanilla bean syrup because I like to add vanilla bean paste. A couple reasons I prefer vanilla bean paste over just adding vanilla extract. One, it adds a lot more vanilla to your syrup, and if you know anything about natural syrups and like making your own, they're not naturally as flavorful as if you get one that has like a bunch of chemicals and stuff in it. So this gives it a little more flavor, a little stronger, as well as I like the vanilla bean flecks being in my coffee. I just think it makes it look so good. So I'm a measure with your heart person, so I'm not gonna measure this out, but this would be 1 teaspoon ideally according to the recipe. I'm just gonna like go around like this a couple times. You see this like vanilla bean paste? So we're gonna like just stir it until it's fully dissolved. And once it's fully dissolved, you wanna let this cool for a couple minutes before pouring into whatever container you're gonna use for it. Also, all these syrups basically fill up a mason jar. This is my extra one, so I'm just going to show you guys. This is like the size it fills up. Before I had nice coffee syrup bottles, I honestly would just put them in mason jars, and there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to go out and buy syrup bottles if you want to use mason jars. They work great, honestly. Now on to cinnamon dolce, to which we're going to need to add 2 new ingredients. We're going to use cinnamon sticks as well as brown sugar. And we're going to do 1.5 cups of water versus the just 1 cup we used for the vanilla syrup because we're going to add ½ cup of brown sugar. So we got to even that out. So basically, even amounts of water to sugar is how you want to think about it. So I have my 1.5 cups of water in here. I'm gonna go ahead and add in my 1 cup of regular white sugar. And then I'm gonna add 1/2 cup of brown sugar as well. Okay, brown sugar is in there. I'm gonna go ahead and stir this really quick and just kind of mix it up so it doesn't sit too long. And then we're also gonna go ahead and add in our cinnamon sticks, which I have to open the jar, so I'm gonna do it real quick. All right, so I added 3 cinnamon sticks to the pot, and same thing as before, we're gonna let it simmer until all the sugar's dissolved, and then we're gonna let it cool a little bit, add some vanilla, and let it sit a little more. Once it reaches a simmer, I am gonna let it simmer a little bit more than I did the vanilla, just to make sure that the cinnamon is all getting combined and everything. So I am gonna let it sit a little bit longer than before, and typically recipes don't call for salt, but I am gonna add salt, same as before, once the sugar's dissolved, just because salt is a preservative, so, and also just adds a little more flavor. Honestly, I wish you guys could smell this right now because it's starting to really smell like fall in here, and I'm loving it. It's smelling like a warm cinnamon roll in this kitchen. It's actually so amazing. Okay, so it's been simmering for about 3 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the heat. And then I'm gonna add in a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Again, measure with your heart. So I'm just gonna add a little bit. I always do a tiny bit more than it says. And I'm gonna stir this in. And then for this one, we're gonna let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes and cool down before I take out the cinnamon sticks. And then I'm gonna pour it into the jar that I'm gonna store it in. Okay, so I'm all about presentation, and I'm thinking that if I took the cinnamon sticks that I took out before I poured it into the bottle and put them back in the bottle, or at least a couple of them, look kind of cool, so I think I'm gonna do that. The same exact ingredients we used earlier for vanilla, we're gonna use for caramel. We're just caramelizing the sugar, which gives it the different flavor. So we're gonna start by just using 1/4 cup of water with 1.5 cups of sugar this time, and then we're gonna simmer it until it's a nice amber. This is when you want to start watching it because you don't want it to get much more past this point. You see how it's amber in color? Heat is off. I'm going to go ahead and add in a bunch of sea salt because I'm making this with salted caramel. I don't really have a measurement for this. I kind of just, again, measure with my heart. Maybe like a couple of teaspoons, maybe like 2 teaspoons to make it like extra salted. Or you could just do 1/2 teaspoon. It's totally up to you. And then also, again, we're adding a teaspoon of vanilla, but as you know, I kind of just pour with my heart. And then we also need to add in the rest of the water, and 1/4 cup. All right, for the blueberry syrup, we're gonna do 1 cup of blueberries, 1.5 cups of water, and 1 cup of sugar. I've let it simmer for 10 minutes, and I'm gonna go ahead and let it cool. Add in my vanilla, again, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I'm gonna measure with my heart. I think I'm actually gonna use a vanilla bean paste this time though to give a little extra vanilla flavor. And then I'm also gonna add in a little bit of salt. Now all that's left to do is go ahead, mash up the blueberries, strain out the syrup into my jar, and then I'm good to go. Here are the finished coffee syrups. I am so excited with how they turned out, and I cannot wait to try them.